What makes you secretly go, yeah, good luck with that? People who tell me they're going to get their diploma from an own diploma mill and then immediately go on to work in an extremely competitive field against people with educations from accredited institutions. Yeah, good luck with that. Currently 2/3 of the way through getting my associates in electronics engineering. One of my classmates got royally fricked over by it. One of my teachers used to work for the same company. Both of them have an incredible amount of understandable hatred for such institutions. When people tell me how much their lives are about to improve after starting in a multi-level marketing company. Finally, I'm going to be my own boss. All I have to do is sign people up until I get to diamond nipple status. Then I can just relax and wait for my checks. No, it's not a scam. I'm in charge of my own destiny. I only need to pay $250 because I have not signed up anyone below me yet. $250 is a drop in the bucket compared to what I will eventually make. Heck, if I get to the plutonium scrotum level, I even get a new BMW. Kids saying they're going to drop out of high school because so and so made it big and they were a high school dropout. Yeah, that person is a rare exception. I was watching a video about learning how to program. Some guy giving a talk. The Q&A portion of the talk opens up. Someone raises their hand and says, "How can I make Google?" Upon elaborating, they were going to settle for the number 2 spot behind Google as the world's second best search engine. People who post how they're going to have a drama-free year and goodbye to all the haters. It always ends with the same dramatic shoot by the end of January at best. Whenever someone tells me about their new legitimate business that I know sounds like a pyramid scheme, but totally isn't, yeah, have fun with your energy drinks. One of my old friends wanted to catch up with me. Since we hadn't seen each other since high school, I said okay. I told her to come over to my house. So the day came, and I told her to let me know when she was outside. I was going to invite her to go eat, thinking we are just going to catch up. She caught me off guard when she brought some lady and a binder. They were really dressed up. It was probably like 10 AM in the morning. This is when I knew they were going to pitch me in a pyramid scheme. I didn't even invite them in. I was so mad. We just sat outside while they tried to tell me that paying a subscription is going to get me in and that if I bring 10 more people I would be getting money. I straight up told her no, this is a pyramid scheme and I ain't buying anything. She told me to think it over. She gave me a DVD that I threw in the trash. Weeks later she asked for her DVD back. I haven't replied to her back and won't. I hate how gullible some people are. When my mom tells me about her latest health bunk. Oh, water from a copper or brass pitcher is more stabilized than water from glass or plastic. It's better for your body's energies. Yeah mom. Sure thing. Please just brew tea. A girl I knew announced on social media that her husband was cheating, then proclaimed 2 weeks later to have found the love of her life. Right. I'm a theater student, and whenever I hear someone who's graduating from theater, they're always talking about how they're gonna end up on Broadway. No you're not. Except me, of course. I have to. A guy who worked for a big heat and air company came to service my air conditioner one summer. He got talkative and mentioned he wanted to start his own company. The plan was to call it AskReddit and their trucks would be old ambulances. That sounds cool, man. Good luck. Less than a year later, I see a red ambulance with AskReddit on the side. I was stunned. And in the time since, the company seems to keep growing and expanding. I keep seeing the ambulances from time to time, and every time I think, I can't believe he actually did it. Way to go. This was a few years ago. Had an older, long-time customer of mine boast about how he won a lottery from another country and that it was worth a lot of money. I asked him, "Did you enter such a lottery?" He said no. I said, "You do know those are scams, right? You are going to lose a lot trying to get that money." He wouldn't listen. Said he had the paperwork and everything to prove it. I could not dissuade him from the idea that having to wire money for red tape reasons was a clear red flag indicating a scam. I finally told him to at least be mindful of whom he boasted to. That in itself is a dangerous thing to do. Very shortly after that, he quit boasting about it to anyone. Hate that he found out the hard way. As a side note, There used to be a bank branch in the store I work at. I had a quiet conversation with one of the bankers there to the effect of being on the lookout for flags indicating this, as there seemed to be some scams floating around town. I didn't name names, but I was worried about the risks of our older customers being bilked out of their money. At the time, I didn't really know what else to do. Edited to add, not too long before this happened. Just a few months before, it's hard to remember. I had gotten such an envelope in the mail myself claiming that I had won a foreign lottery. I just threw it away at the time, but this guy's boasting made me remember that, so I guess I got pretty wary. Oncologist here. When I make a treatment recommendation and the patient or a family member says, well, we're worried about the toxic side effects of those drugs you're recommending, so we're going to be using dandelion root and an aggressive juicing regimen instead. It's heartbreaking. A young mother in her early 30s died of metastatic breast cancer which had been diagnosed over 8 years before with no spread and opted for alternative treatment. Comment by her and her husband: before she died, I don't understand. We did everything to fight this. Everything except recommended and proven regime, that is. Tragic. Reminds me of a dialysis patient who saw a naturopath who upon hearing of his kidney problems recommended he drink 4L/day. Kidneys not working means what goes in doesn't come out. Cue early presentation, bloated and unable to breathe. People claiming they are going to create the next good company, anime, video game, etc. with no related skills or experience and/or doubtful motivation. Someone who has had 4 boyfriends/girlfriends in the last 3 months getting a tattoo of their newest one because he/she is the one. From an American public school teacher, about 90% of pissed off parents who decide school sucks for their kid and fear going to homeschool/online school. If you and your kid didn't have the discipline to 30 minutes of reading a night or get your kid to school on time, imagine how much harder it will be when there's no bureaucracy breathing down your neck to get it done. Some parents really think it through, and for good reasons create a homeschool/online school environment for their kids that's better than what we can provide. Kids with anxiety or tag kids are good examples, but I've had parents quit public school because of a lice outbreak. Good luck with that. Hey, I have this app idea. It would be like popular app, but for other thing. I don't know any programming, so I'll need someone to build it for me, and then if you do that, we can split ownership 50/50. I haven't checked the app store to see if 10 apps like this already exist, but it's going to be huge. People who buy used BMW 7 Series when they clearly can't afford repairs and have no idea what they have gotten into. Without fail, the car disappears within a year. This car seems to attract people like this. Friend of mine is making a business in an incredibly oversaturated market for goods that typically sell for $3. He wants to make luxury versions of the same thing that sell for $90. Yeah, good luck with that. Was discussing some relationship woes with a friend, and at one point he said, when I get a girl, I'm not gonna take any shoot from her. I'm the man here. Well, true to his word, and to the best of my knowledge, he's still single. One of my single friends said something very similar to this several years ago. I responded with, if you aren't going to take any of her shoot, why should she be willing to take any of yours? He looked at me blankly for a few seconds, then said, whatever man, you don't get it. My now wife and I had been together for about 7 years at that point. I'm going to mine Bitcoin. Met a freshman who told me she wanted to drop out of college to move in with her 26-year-old fiance. Apparently he has a job, so she doesn't think she needs college. My sister-in-law got her real estate license, worked for another agent for 6 months and quit. She now thinks she has enough experience and knowledge to start her own firm. I know a woman who has owned at least 2 of her own businesses, upholstery and an arts and crafts store, and went back for her real estate license about 10 years ago. She is one of the most boisterous, ambitious, outgoing, well-networked, and knowledgeable in her field people I know, and even she is sticking with F.C. Tucker. A hospital inpatient signing out against medical advice. Former friend overdosed on bath salts, collapsed, and was kept in a medically induced coma while they assessed the damage. 5 days later she wakes up, says frick this, and leaves Emma. Immediately goes manic, and gets high on whatever she could find. Next night she flipped her car, killing her dog in the process, and gets put on a 72-hour psych hold. She then checked out Emma when her time was up. We don't talk anymore. My stepdaughter's boyfriend is convinced he is going to be a professional gamer. He is 19, and they have 2 kids together. His team has never had a serious tournament win, and instead of spending time with his kids, he plays Call of Duty while she works. Friend of mine is well known for having the next big way to make lots of money. Has been basically unemployed and living off his elderly grandmother's social security for years. Dragged his kid down to the poorhouse with him. Every time he tries to involve me in one of these shoot shows, I just say, no thanks. I've actually got a career already. Edit. I get it. Drug vs dragged. When people get 2 puppies at once, or get a really difficult large breed of dog, and expect it will just behave well, because they love them. And never ever freaking take the time to properly train them, and then try and tell you that they know all about dogs, because their parents raised dog breed here, when they were kids. When my friends are about to have their first child, and try to tell me I have 2 kids, or anyone else who has a child, how their child will never watch TV, eat only veggies, and be perfect in public at all times. Yeah. Good luck with that. Edit. For the record, I was one of those people starting out. My kids do eat healthy, but they love McDonald's and cupcakes. They didn't watch any TV before the age of 1. Currently they get an hour maximum per day, usually 20 minutes or 0. They are polite in public, as polite as a 4 and 6Y. Oh, can be. But we have worked very hard to get to this point. We pick our battles and we are realistic. Parenting is the hardest job I've ever had, and I teach special education to middle schoolers. Just saying. When my friend tells me he's going to email the professor to try and get his paper grade raised from a B to an A, that's not happening. Not only is the A not happening, he is also blowing through his chance at a good reference from that professor and earning himself a bad reputation among the faculty. Undergraduates who grade grub harm themselves more than they realize. Source: am friends with college professors. Edit. A couple of people have pointed out that it's legitimate to contact a professor about errors in arithmetic calculating a grade. This is true, and don't be shy about following up about corrections when that happens. Ops example looks like the email will be something like, please turn my B into an A. That won't fly. If you really want better term paper grades, take this tip secondhand. Visit your professor during office hours early in the term. They're usually glad to offer guidance to a student who shows initiative, and will help you narrow down a topic and name the leading sources likely to be of use. Also, and ask about this, but it's usually true, you can get corrections and do a rewrite, as long as you turn in your paper early and complete the rewrite by the normal deadline. People who are making the next grade killer app, they will need the luck, and lots more besides. Especially if they want someone else to do the work, while they sit back and be the ideas guy. When people say they are going to sue some really big company like McDonald's or Walmart for some really dumb or petty reason, like bad customer service. When I worked in customer service, as soon as a caller mentioned suing, I would just end the call by saying, since you have now threatened legal action, all future communications must go through our legal department. I can no longer assist you. Never got written up for it, because it was the company policy, just not often enforced, unless there was an actual lawsuit filed. Me, I'm going to tone up my butt and thighs this year. Also me, to myself, yeah, good luck with that. Years later, my butt still looks like a half deflated dodgeball. Not really anything now, but used to be, when my peers would voluntarily drop everything to live out of their car, and in odd jobs, no ties to anything permanent. Then I saw that they were all doing well, were happy, and ended up with good jobs once they settled. And I realized I was actually pretty jealous, as I always had too much responsibility to even think about that kind of adventure. Oh, the youth of our early and mid-20s. And learning humility. I write estimates for auto collision repair. When people tell me that my prices are outrageous and they, or a mechanic friend, can do it in their garage for a quarter of the price with a spray can. Listening to distant relatives describe how they are going to sue their builder. I've got multiple sets of relatives that move houses as a hobby. Inevitably they either run into a builder that screws them somehow, or the market tanks. Dudes, this is not HGTV. There is not going to be a happy moment where a nice white lady decorates your house for you as a surprise. Your surprise is going to be something else. Surprise. Your property floods with salt water. Surprise. Your house has become worth less than you paid for it overnight. Your sweat equity is now valueless. Surprise. Your sewage tank is made out of a refrigerator box. Buying a home is a complex transaction, and maintaining it is hard work. You might also want to know a little bit about construction.